What's up, guys? So we're at Full Tilt Boogie Racing today, and they got some new stuff out that I thought a lot of you guys would enjoy. So we're just gonna have my buddy Bruce, the owner, kind of talk about these new parts, and yeah. So we'll start with the new hubs.
Yep, this is a new hub that we're having manufactured to our specifications. It's very similar to the Ford hub. We've got a few minor design changes on the back side, which we thought were going to be easier to machine, and the Ford design really wasn't necessary. And in the side where the nut goes, Ford had a little small counter bore in there for the nut, and we just eliminated that counter bore, so you can use a larger nut in there if you find some that you like better than the Ford nut. So we thought that was a little nice design improvement. The Ford hubs, you'll find them on the internet anywhere between $170 and $180. The Ford hubs did not come zinc plated. Our hubs are only zinc plated, and we had them laser etched with our name on them for identification purposes. There's a clear difference between our hub and the Ford hub, so there's really not a hard time distinguishing the difference. These are now being offered at $99.95 with studs installed, which is almost about half price of what you're paying for a plated Ford hub. We were offering Ford hubs in unplated and plated version. If you check our website, you'll also see that we offer the hubs in 3 configurations. One is with 2.5-inch studs, and unfortunately we don't have one assembled here today. But the 2.5-inch stud, you can see it's a little bit smaller than the ARP. And the ARPs are really, there's not a need for them to be that long, but a lot of people love the ARP for their quality, and you're going to pay for it. We sell the hubs with the 2.5-inch studs installed, and also the 3-inch ARP studs installed. This is going to take a larger bore, so if you're buying hubs and you're going to be pressing out these studs and putting ARPs in, you're going to need to ream the bores in the hub to do that.
Oh, let's talk about the low profile IRS bolts. So originally in my car, when I had the bushing kit done, this was before they made these, but I had mine kind of ground down, so I'll have Bruce kind of talk about why you'd want to get this set versus the low profile bolts from other places.
Well, the biggest problem with the button head bolts that some other people sell are the very small hex internal heads. They strip out very easily. They go in, no problem, but in a couple years, if you have to take your IRS out of your chassis, a lot of people are having a problem stripping that little hex head. So what we've done is we've taken a standard flange bolt, we've machined the head down, so now with a 6-point impact socket, you still have a massively good grip on this. We've machined the end so it can find that floating nut on the inside of the rear cantilever bracket, so you don't cross thread them, and you just torque these right to specs, and you're good to go. What we used to do before these was after they were installed and torqued to specs, we would grind them flat and still leave a minimum thickness of the hex for removal. But what happens is when they come out and they go back in again, your orientation on the grind has changed because this thing is on a little bit of an angle, and you grind your angle, to match the inside of the rear tire.
All right, so we're going to talk about the torque braces now.
Correct. This is the torque brace that we started manufacturing a couple years ago, and some people said, boy, that looks like the Kenny Brown brace, and why are you trying to reinvent the wheel? And I said, well, the Kenny Brown brace, there were a lot of things about the brace we didn't like. The biggest thing we didn't like about the brace was no bracing on the front differential mounts. You can see on ours, we have a leg that comes down for bracing on the front differential mounts. Second thing I didn't like about the Kenny Brown was the fact that they compromised the edge of the square tube when they welded the end tangs on, and we decided to take a different approach, and we slotted the tube, and we welded it both sides. And the tangs are similar, but one of the big differences we made is you'll see they have this huge mounting hole for the LCA. And what happens is when you put this on the car, this thing is going to go to probably its lowest position, and that's going to make the maximum stack on your washers. And there's no need to have a slot in here. So we put a solid, just a straight hole in it. The other side is slotted because of the tolerance between the two lower control arm mounting points. So you have to have some room in there for play, and that's why that one is slotted. The other reason that these are available now is because the Ford brace, we used to sell it on our site, and they were like $145. They are now $861 from Ford. These from us are $139, or maybe they're $145. I think we just had a price increase the last time we ran them. But they're around $145. So that's a great option for you. The Ford unit that came on the Terminator was a round tube, and it was bent and formed. If you have pre-Terminator, which is 99, 2000 Cobra R, or 2001 Cobra, you did not have attachment points to the front differential on this brace. It only connected the lower control arm bolts. Okay, I want to talk to you guys about the retaining ring that holds the bearing in the knuckle assembly. You need a heavy-duty retaining ring pliers to do this. This is a Blue Point PR25, and I got a Matco TP25 I used to use. And even these nice retaining ring pliers that are good size, they still needed some tweaking on the tips so you can get a good grip on them. And even after you do that, it's still very, very difficult to do that. And I'm not even going to try to grab that one because I haven't used these in so long. I don't even know if they're grabbing anymore. Let me see if this one works better. Nope. Oh, there. So make sure you're going to be using safety glasses whenever you do this, but I'm just going to give you a squeeze here to show you. That works pretty good. What works even better is this long needle nose pliers we're selling now. It's just a standard long needle nose pliers, only we modify the ends of it. And unlike the snap ring pliers, there's no serrated jaws on these snap ring pliers. On this thing has serrated jaws. Those serrated jaws are going to give you massive grip on that retaining ring, and you're going to be pulling them in and out of there like nothing. It's very easy operation with that retaining ring pliers. The bearings are kind of a maintenance item. The bearings are only going to last, depending on how you use your car, how you drive it, how many miles you drive it. They're only going to last between, if you track your car, you should probably replace these every 2 years. The left side's always going to go out faster than the right side because of road course are predominantly right-hand turns, so which loads your left side more. So if you're not going to the track, or if you're just going to drag racing, I would make sure you are checking the torque on that 250 foot-pounds of torque with a 36 millimeter deep impact socket before you go to the track. Or if you're not going to the track, maybe twice a year or every time you change your oil would be a good time to check the torque on that. If the nut does come loose, the bearing is going to self-destruct in short order. Once the bearing self-destructs, you're going to start doing damage to your hub, because these two inner races on this tapered roller bearing need to be squeezed together by the torque on the half shaft retaining nuts. Some suppliers like AutoZone or even maybe Napa, they will sell a cheaper double angular contact ball bearing, and the ball bearings are not going to last as long as the tapered roller bearings. These are the Tempkin roller bearings, the same bearing that came from the factory in your car. We have them on our site. And Tempkin's the only bearing you want to use, and it's double tapered roller. These are the Ford nuts. I've got a very, very small stash of these still on hand, and we are asking a ridiculous price on them because when they're gone, they're gone. This is the replacement nut that Ford has now. It has a nylon locking mechanism on it, and you're going such a long distance on that half shaft that I suggest you still use a couple drops of red Loctite, and you put that on the threads where this nut is going to come to its final resting point, and don't put it on the nut or the end of the shaft, because by the time this goes all the way on, all your Loctite's going to be gone. So some few tips on those nuts. Keep those nuts tightened with your torque wrench. Okay, because these cars are getting so old now, we started to offer grade 10.9 metric 16 millimeter bolts for the lower control arms. These have nylock insert nuts just like the factory, flanges on the nuts and on the heads just like the factory. So these are a great replacement item for those older cars that are getting very old. Same thing on the upper control arms. Grade 10.9 metric 12 millimeter bolts with flanged heads on the bolts, flanged nuts, and nylock locking nuts. So replacement hardware is available. We also have replacement hardware for the entire differential, the entire knuckle, and also the inner toe link mounts for the bump steer kits.
Cool. So yeah, so I figured they've released some new stuff recently, so I figured you guys would highly enjoy taking a look at all this kind of stuff. So yeah, so anyway guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Definitely consider subscribing. That helps me out a bunch, guys. And we'll see you guys in the next video.